Okay, so growing up, there have always been three things that I just didn't really like: baked beans, flies, and my teeth. Unfortunately, I couldn't do anything about the baked beans or flies in the world, but last year I decided to finally do something about my teeth by starting Invisalign. In this video, I'll be going over everything that I wish I'd known before starting Invisalign, the good parts, the bad parts, the costs, and just other little sort of tips and surprises that I've picked up along the way that I thought would be helpful to know for anyone looking to start Invisalign. I should mention this video is not sponsored by Invisalign. I did ask them if they would like to sponsor it, but they didn't reply, so that's quite hurtful. So as a quick in a nutshell, for those of you who don't know what Invisalign is, it's an alternative to traditional braces, whereby instead of having fixed braces on your teeth with like a wire bracket, it's just clear plastic aligners which you change every week, and they just gradually move your teeth over time. Probably the biggest reason that people get Invisalign rather than traditional braces is just because it's less visible. That's certainly why I got it. I mean, I get enough comments about my appearance on YouTube already. People just commenting saying, you know, how tall and muscly and cool I am. So I just didn't want to invite any more commentary on my appearance by getting the more visible wired braces. Okay, so jumping into things that I wish I'd known before I started, let's begin with the pain. During my research before getting Invisalign, I saw quite a lot of people talking about how painful it is, but that's not been my experience at all. I'd say that on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being getting kicked in the ghoulies, I'd say getting Invisalign has been like a 3 out of 10 at worst. And that was really just at the very start of the process where my teeth were very crooked and the trays were just quite tight on my teeth. That was probably the worst it got, and it was still just a 3 out of 10. Like I said, any pain that I did experience was right at the start when I would put in new trays for the week. So to kind of avoid that or make it less bad, I would put in the trays last thing at night. So say I changed my trays every Tuesday, I would wait till very last thing on Tuesday night and then put them in and just go to bed. And then the first like 8 or 9 hours, if I had a good sleep, would just sort of take care of that initial very tight feeling. When I woke up in the morning, the feeling of pain, of tightness just wasn't as severe. So the pain and discomfort is really not anything to worry about in my experience. The next thing that surprised me was just how many attachments I would need. For those of you that don't know, the attachments are little plastic buttons which they glue onto your teeth, and this just gives something for the trays to actually grip onto to help move the teeth. And I have 13 of these. I've seen people complain about how the attachments can be a little bit visible, but that's not really been my experience. Again, maybe I just got lucky, but despite having 13, none of them are on my very front teeth. They're all kind of around the side and mostly on the bottom, because that's where my teeth were just most crooked. For me, the only downside of attachments, and I don't really know if I can even consider this a real downside, but it was just how long it took to put them on. I probably thought it was going to take like 30 seconds. I think the appointment ended up being like 45 minutes. And the only bad part of that is that the glue that they use to put the attachments on doesn't taste nice. So just don't lick your teeth when they're putting attachments on. And yeah, that's about it. It's not really a huge issue. I just thought I would mention that for people that are maybe a bit worried about having to sit in the orthodontist chair or dentist chair for long periods of time. That 45 minutes when I got the bulk of my attachments put on was the longest that I was in the chair through the whole Invisalign process. So it's really been quite a hands-off process, and I think that's something that a lot of people quite like about it. One thing to note is that the attachments can stain with things like tea, coffee, or red wine. I don't drink any of those things, so again, this is another thing that just hasn't really affected me. But if you do like those drinks and don't want to stain the attachments, then you can just drink with a straw as a way of avoiding the staining. The next thing that surprised me was all about how long you have to have the trays in each day. Obviously with fixed braces, you just have the braces fixed on, you don't take them out to eat or anything like that. But with Invisalign, you take them out when you want to eat food, and you're meant to wear the trays for 22 hours a day. So you basically have to eat all of your meals, all of your snacks within a 2-hour window. I'm a very slow eater, I'm a grazer, I snack to get in the food that I need on a daily basis. So that was something I was a bit nervous about because I mean, I'm already pretty skinny, so I was worried that I'd be taking the trays out, not manage to get all the food in that I needed for the day, and in the process just end up like a skeleton with very straight teeth, which is not a good trade-off. The reason this part surprised me is because this just hasn't been an issue for me. I've managed to wear the trays as long as I have to every day, and I've managed to get all the food that I need every day. I've not lost any weight, I've gained weight, as you can probably tell. So in the future, it looks like I'll be going up from flyweight to bantamweight in the UFC. So next up we have something that I'm pretty sure everyone will be curious about, and that is the cost of Invisalign. Now this will obviously differ from location to location, from provider to provider, so I'd recommend sort of scouting around, getting a few different quotes, and just trying to find someone that you like and trust, who also does a fairly fair price. Personally, I went with the comprehensive treatment, and this ended up being about £5,000. The comprehensive treatment means that if I have, say, 30 weeks on my initial treatment plan, 30 trays, and I get to the end of those 30 trays and I'm still not really happy with how my teeth look, how straight they are, I can get as many additional trays as I want, as I need, without any extra cost until I'm happy with my teeth. I want to say there were cheaper providers, but I went with a slightly more expensive one just because I really liked the orthodontist, I liked the place, I liked the staff at the place that I went to. I just felt like I didn't really want to skimp with something as permanent as Invisalign, which is just altering how you look. It's altering, I suppose, aspects of your health. So it just wasn't really an area where cost was the main priority. I wanted to go with someone that I trusted, that I knew could do a good job, and then cost kind of came after that. I went with an orthodontist called Mahesh at his clinic Embrace in Glenrothes, and I found him through the actual Invisalign website where they list out providers in your area, and I'm pretty sure they're filtered by experience. So Mahesh was really experienced, he came up top of the results for me, and when I went and saw him and his staff, they were all just so lovely and nice, and it was just a really good experience. So I'd highly recommend them to anyone who lives near me, so big shout out to Embrace. On top of the cost for Invisalign, I also had to pay to get some teeth out because my teeth on the bottom were just so crowded, there wasn't actually space for the Invisalign to move around my teeth in the correct way, so I had to get 2 teeth there and there removed, and that was actually something that I was very scared about as well, coming back to like the scary sort of pain points. That was something I was terrified about, but it was fine. I was in and out within like 5 minutes, so not an issue. And for that I actually went to an oral surgeon, again on that whole thing of like not wanting to skimp on costs associated with my health and things that like permanently alter your appearance. I didn't want to skimp on that, so I went to a slightly more expensive oral surgeon, and that felt like a good decision. Those two things I may have paid a little bit more for, but the experience has been pretty seamless and problem-free, so I feel like it's worth it. As I said at the start of the video, there were a few little extra tips and kind of surprises that popped up along the way, so I'll just kind of rattle these off quickly because they're not as big as things like the pain and the cost that I know that most people will be very concerned about. So the first thing that I noticed is that I developed a lisp when I have the Invisalign in. I have it in right now, and it's just kind of hard to talk. I do have a little bit of a lisp sometimes. It's not as bad now as it was at the very start when I first put it in. Man, thankfully that has not stayed. Another bit of advice, I guess, is that when you get Invisalign, you should get some chewies, and you use these to kind of just chew on, to bite on, to make sure that your Invisalign is kind of seated correctly and tight on your teeth so that it moves the teeth as it should. For the first few weeks I did use these, and then I just kind of like tapered off and decided that I can just like bite my teeth together to set the trays in, and I ended up just like biting clear through the trays. So don't do that, it's not a good idea. Thankfully it was towards the end of 1 week when I actually bit through it, so I was able to put in the next week's, but just a word of warning not to chomp through your trays. So with 1 year finished and just a few more trays to go before I'm finished Invisalign, the question is, was it worth it for me? And pretty simply, pretty confidently, I can say yes it was. I've just noticed that I feel better about myself, and I don't think you can put a price on that. Well, you can actually, fucking £5 grand. Overall, I think the biggest thing that I wish I'd known is just how easy I found the whole process. I was so worried about so many aspects of this, the pain, the cost, how long you have to wear them every day, just all of the things that I've covered that I was really nervous about have just not been an issue. So I think in hindsight, I wish I'd known all of that, because I would have done this a lot sooner and yeah, just felt better about myself a bit earlier in life. So yeah, that's my takeaway from getting Invisalign. It's been worth it. So if anyone else out there has had Invisalign, be sure to leave a comment letting me know what your experience has been. I'd be interested to hear how it's differed from mine, or if it's just been the same. And if you're thinking about getting Invisalign and have any questions for me, just leave a comment as well, and I'll do my best to get back to you with hopefully a helpful answer. If you enjoyed this video all about my teeth, then I'd appreciate you leaving a like and subscribing. I don't plan on making any more videos about my teeth, so don't subscribe for that. But I do make lots of videos about my cats and renovations, so hopefully that tickles your fancy. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.